Welcome to the Sorcery Podcast, your sacred space to delve into spiritual tools, topics, and practices that will illuminate your path of soul remembering and healing. I'm your host, Lígia Costa, a soul guide, alchemist, soul writing coach, and the creator of the Trust Pathway. I'm deeply grateful to have you here with me. Together, we will embark on a profound exploration of self-discovery and healing, unlocking the secrets that lie within. Welcome to the Sorcery Podcast. And today we have an amazing guest. We have connected a while back, but little did we know at the time that our journeys would be so similar through a process of losing our dads, our fathers, which to me is our security anchor. They are the pillar of strength in our lives, in our identities. And we went through the same pain and both had our spiritual awakenings through the process of grieving and healing. And so today's episode is going to be all about that. But I'd like to introduce you, Buckso, and she's an international motivational speaker and host, an energy transformational coach who mentors spiritual entrepreneurs amongst us to develop powerful and effective solutions in creating sustainable business without sacrificing their core values or quality of life. And from the stage, she shares energy and wisdom gained from her own awakening back in 2020 after her dad's passing. Hello, my lovely.
Hello, Lígia. Thank you so much for asking me on. I really appreciate this.
Oh, I really appreciate. I'm so grateful that you are here today to talk about such a vulnerable conversation, so raw as well. But before we get started, would you like to introduce yourself further?
I don't think I can add much more to that, to be honest. But yeah, and I was saying to you before we started the podcast just now that my constant evolution never ceases to amaze me. In this last 4 years of my dad passing, I'm no longer attached to any decision, choice, thought process that I have, because I know that in 2 weeks, 2 months' time, I'm going to feel different about it again, because I'm going through the continual journey of the healing process. And I don't mean healing as in having therapy, counseling, Reiki, and all of that. I've had all of that and I do that. But that's not the process. The process is, for me, the allowing, the surrendering, the allowing, the unresistant nature of just being, because I've spent my life doing, operating from a masculine energy.
Yeah.
And that just got knocked the hell out of me in 2020. And I had no choice but to follow this new feminine path that is now bringing some balance into my life, So for me, energy is everything. So I've been in the world of energy healing since 2000. I've been going to these mind, body and spirit events since I was 19, and I'm 51 now. So I'm kind of an expert at this field and the spiritual community. And I now, with my eyes wide open, can see so much that's going on that needs to be redirected, changed also. Because if we are moving into the fifth dimension, then surely us as spiritual entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, way showers, we also need to elevate ourselves in order to be able to teach from that fifth dimension, because the society is waking up, and it's essential that people like myself do my homework, my due diligence, and the work inside me constantly to make sure that I am always ahead of the curve, there to teach and show the way. Although I am very open now to learn from my children. I have 21-year-old twins, and 6 months ago, 8 months ago, I probably would never have listened to a word that they had to say, thinking that what can they possibly teach me? I'm the mother.
Mm,
But
exactly.
actually, it's just blown me away recently how much I'm able to learn from them, because they've only just come from the other side. Really, 21 years is nothing. They've
Exactly. Yeah.
they've only just come from the other side, really. And this generation, anybody born after 2000, anybody born after that, they are accessing and remembering their soul's purpose quicker.
Mm,
They are impacted by their previous incarnations so much more on a
mm,
daily basis, and they are being told that it's ADHD
true.
and all of this, and they're trying to put a pill in them to keep them dumbed down, disconnected from the
The
truth.
the labels.
Yes.
The labels. We get into that so much. And I think I had a conversation not long ago about it. How society doesn't know how to cope with the high sensitive people
No.
in the world, and so it's just labeled them as having depression, having anxiety, having ADHD, and
Behavior issues.
medicating. Yes,
Yeah.
and medicating people.
Mm. Because they
Yeah.
haven't got the tools or the expansion of their
Mm,
consciousness to help. They are
mm,
fearful, because there's only two operational emotions really that the world runs on. It's either fear or
mm,
love. And love is such an expansive word to use here as well, because it doesn't mean romantically.
mm.
Obviously, it's being able to operate from an open heart and not
Yeah,
fear anything,
yeah,
anything at all, which is not easy to do. I'm not saying it's easy to do. I've lived in fear for most of my life, from that fear, scarcity, lack mentality, low vibrational frequency. I know anything that I teach, anything that I ask of people and my clients is nothing I haven't done myself.
exactly.
It's not from 200
Mm,
books that I've merged into one program or one educational piece. It's not taking little bits of this and that and this and that and sharing it out there in my own words. That's not what it is. It's lived
mm.
experience.
And that's what healing is, and being a guide or a teacher is for other people. We went through something painful or through experiences, we did the work on ourselves, and then we share that. Not as in, this is the way of doing it, but I'm sharing what worked for me in hopes that will open you to work for you.
Exactly, exactly. And this is all it is,
Mm,
and there is far too much going on in the spiritual community right now. And a lot of people in the community that have been in there are coming away from it because they're seeing so much dysfunction
yeah.
from unhealed healers, you
Yes.
know, coaches that haven't got any more coaching done, they don't continue the journey. They think yes, I've done, yeah, oh gosh, I've done so much work on myself. It never ends, you know, and
Yes.
you can only take your clients, your pupils, or, people in your life, you can only take them as far as you've been.
Mm,
And so
absolutely.
that's fine. That's okay. So people need to concede that actually I've taken you as far as I can go, because they're taking ownership. And by saying, as a coach, as a mentor, as a healer, I have gone as far as I can with you. I can't do any more for you. I'm going to pass you on to somebody else. And that's fine, because they've accepted and acknowledged their ability in that moment,
Exactly. Mm,
rather than feeding people BS that tells them they need to continue seeing them. This loop, these
yeah.
loops are created. We have karmic loops as it is, but this industry, spiritual community, is starting to perpetuate that now.
Instead of healing that.
Yes, they're keeping people stuck. They're starting to become part of the matrix, and
And
it
that
needs to stop.
and that it is what to me feels like is spiritual bypassing.
That's right.
It's a lot of toxicity there when the ego actually takes over, and it's no
Yes.
more about me helping others or me being of service, but me being the center and having this community. And if they see someone, a student, being able to heal up more, or are on the path that it's a bit further down than what they
Yes.
are, they just shut the person down, just
Yes.
cancel the
That's it.
person.
Yeah. And because they haven't got the capacity to receive what that individual is saying.
Hmm.
So they have to make the individual wrong so that they don't have to take ownership. And this is what's missing in life generally, not just the spiritual community. People
Yeah.
need to start taking more responsibility for themselves and their well-being rather than
Mhm.
looking outside of themselves constantly. I'm happy. People are looking for counseling, coaching, mentoring, and they need that psychiatric help and that psychotherapy. Great. But what I say to everybody is do not make them your crutch.
Mhm.
They should only really ever be a supportive mechanism to your journey,
Yes.
because that becomes codependent relationship then,
Yes.
where you think you will not be able to do that thing if you don't get to have that session with you right now. I've got to have a session. I need to get in with you. I need. And I always say to people that work with me, I want you to stay with me as long as you want me.
Mm.
Not, I don't want you to come to me. You might need me to begin with, but I don't want you to continue needing me. The whole point is that I empower you
Yes.
to that place to know that it all starts and ends within you.
Mhm.
Please do the work. Please get the help. Please have the support. I never asked for help all my life.
Yeah.
I only just started asking for help recently in the last couple of years.
Yeah. That's so true. And although we know that the medical system it's flawed, you know, it doesn't help people with mental health or that need healing as much as we would like.
Mm,
But the truth is, and one thing that we have to remember, I remember when I went to therapy, my therapist, she told me, I'm with you for 12 weeks.
it's
No more
crazy.
than no more than that. And I understand is not to create codependency
Yeah.
because some patients then become like, if I don't, is what we were saying, if I don't have a session, I don't know how to go along with my life,
Yes.
becomes a crutch. And what we see in the coaching system as well is this, they make people be dependent on them,
That's right.
and
That's right.
that's toxic. You know, we have
And
to
yeah,
allow people to be empowered and
that's right.
to believe, we have to believe in them before they can believe in themselves that they can do this work on their own when the time
Correct.
comes.
And I've heard of stories where, and this isn't a judgment, and I know I'm not judging because I haven't got an emotional attachment, or this isn't charged with
Mm.
emotion. It's just purely observational. And I've heard people speak about coaches that have said to them, please don't cancel now because I won't be able to pay my bills this month because I rely on your money.
Oh
That's
wow.
crazy. What are people doing? This isn't general, this isn't just spiritual speaking. I mean, general coaching. These are the individuals that are out there that are operating their own businesses without the solid foundations in place.
Mm.
I'm not saying you can't help somebody if you're not, earning loads of money, but actually, you're making this person your crutch now.
Mm.
You're creating a crutch for yourself as the coach. And this is where I come back to the unhealed coaches, the uncoached coaches, the unhealed healers, those people that don't actually have anybody in their corner giving them guidance as they give another person guidance. Like with coach, when I was, qualified as a life coach in 2017, I've still got the lady that I did the course with as at the end of the phone because I need to sometimes run things by her,
Mm.
because I want to double check that I'm
Yeah.
still compliant, that I'm still, in the right space and coming from the right space, and that
Yes.
none of my ego is ever creeping in,
Mm.
so I'm always open to receive constructive feedback, which is
Yeah.
what a lot of us lack the ability
Absolutely.
to have. Mm.
Absolutely. Wow. It's becoming, yeah, a bit toxic. And I think a lot of this came from, during COVID, the new age spirituality became such a buzz thing,
Mm.
and we
Bandwagons.
yeah, and we see these very young influencers, just, I'm not saying that they don't have it just because they are young, they don't have the experience, we might have gone through a lot of things,
Hmm.
in such a short time, but it's not just about saying things, as you said, out of books you read or courses that you did, and then just vomiting
Yes.
the information. It's about actually have done the work on
Mm.
themselves, and that's what we think. Like this new age spirituality, Yes, it's so good that we have that awareness and we are now open when our great grandmothers couldn't speak up about spirituality
Yes.
at all. That's amazing. But it's very important to have the awareness that just because someone has a huge following
Yeah.
and they are called influencers
Yeah.
or celebrities or public figures, now you can put that on your Instagram thing, that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's someone that is right for you in terms of helping you on your healing journey.
And that's the thing. It's people need to become more discerning
Hmm.
about who they are giving their money to,
Yeah,
who they are seeking out for help and advice.
yeah,
And I tell everybody, because I'm open to that myself, ask the questions of your coach, of your healer,
yeah.
of your mentor. Ask questions that you feel are too personal. Ask them. Because if the individual, I'm not saying they need to tell you the full story inside out, but if I was to have somebody say to me, what's the worst thing you've gone through? I
Mm,
would tell them,
yeah,
and I would give them the list of the things that I perceive that others may see as horrendous,
true.
to go through. And people then can make an informed decision, a
Mm,
choice from having that connection. This is what gives you the connection with the individual. It
yeah.
doesn't matter what price they are. If they are the cheapest in the room, they might be the most disconnected person from themselves that you could get.
Hmm.
And invariably, when you think about it, the cheapest person in the room may actually have issues around their self-worth
Yeah,
if they are only charging the so much. I mean, each to their own, but everybody values themselves based on the transformation they can give the individual. And that requires a level of confidence from the individual themselves as the coach and the mentor and the healer,
yes,
right?
yes.
So rather than, and you can tell when somebody's coming from a place of conviction, rather than they're in a mastermind, they've paid 15 grand to be in it and I'm entitled to charge you that price.
Mm,
There's too
yes.
much of that going on as well. That going on. They have this sense of entitlement. Well, I've been told by 10 other women that are six-figure earners that that I should be charging more. And there's an element of integrity then. So there's a fine
Mm,
line between charging what you think your transformation is for the individual and then integrity. You still got to be in
absolutely.
alignment with who you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Mm.
I've got that actually. I've got coaches telling me, like, you are not charging enough. And it's not because I don't believe in the transformation and help I can bring. It's because one of my core values is to help as many people as I can. And we know the economy is not in a good place. And
Mm.
so if we make it like, if the NHS is already not coping and the waiting lists are so long, if you're charging thousands of pounds for a course or for help or whatever, like, and people can't afford, how is our contribution to the collective, to the world?
Yes.
It's not, yeah, it's not charging too cheap, but also not going into the extreme of, I'm going to charge you this because just by the fact that you are on in my energy, you are healed.
Yes. Yes.
Mm,
Exactly. And so this is where I think people, it goes back to taking responsibility.
mm,
We can't sit there and play victim
mm,
to somebody that you bought into and they didn't provide you what they said they would. And it's like, take some ownership.
yeah.
How much of your due diligence did you do? Were you doing it because it was fashionable, trendy? You want to be in the in crowd, you know?
Mm,
Take ownership for all the boxes that you ticked that were out of your alignment with
yes.
your core values, right? People aren't taking enough. They're very quick to blame as well. I will say that as a caveat to what we've just said, because I'm very able to be, neutral in this world. I'm just very observational in my findings and see, what I see.
Mm,
And each to their own. I do say that, but don't bitch about it
yeah.
as well. Be okay with the results you receive. It's like my son yesterday went on a date, only a second date, parked up somewhere and had his hands full of Starbucks and everything to give to his date. He wanted to get there. She was waiting for him. He saw people queuing at the ticket machine. He's like, I'm not going to queue for the ticket. Big mistake. Come back and he got a ticket on his window. Okay. So get a very expensive date for saying they were just going, for saying they were trying to keep it cheap by walking around the park and drinking Starbucks. It ended up being very expensive. But the thing is, for him. He's 21. The thing is that I was very impressed with was because he doesn't do this. So he's learning. He said, look, I'm taking responsibility. I take responsibility. I shouldn't have part like that. I shouldn't have done it, you know? And then he'll have a bitch about the fact that they're charging me how much? And I was like, mate, just suck it up. I said, I've had 4 of them already this year. Trust me. Just ride the wave, baby. Ride the wave. The injustice of it will cripple you if you continue to focus
On it,
on
yeah.
that. It's a choice. It's a choice. What do you choose to focus on? And this, you know, this is what life's been all about for me this last 4 years, because since my dad's passed, I have this huge chasm yawningly wide ahead of me that's saying, ooh, if you have until what your dad was in when he left this plane for 74, you've got 23 years left. What are you going to do with those 23 years, girl? You know, it's like, what are you going to do now that you know what you know? What are you going to do now that you've got less time left on this planet than you've had up to now?
Wow.
You know, being here for another 51 years would be nice if I'd got all my faculties and I was wiping my own backside, etc. But you know, you don't want to be 102 and just bent over double. Do you know what I mean? That's not a life. That's an existence. And so for me, what am I going to do for the next 23 years if I'm lucky enough to have them? Because next week isn't guaranteed to anyone, right?
Wow, that's so profound.
So what are you doing with your life? Why are you doing what you do? Why are you showing up at somewhere yet again that you didn't want to go to, but because you can't say no, you're going through the motions again and again. And it's like, why? You've just been invited somewhere. You turn up, you're moaning about how rubbish it is when you didn't want to go in the first place. So why did you go and bring that energy into that space?
Yep.
You know, it's like, why? You know, if you had 1 week left on this planet, what would you be doing? Would you be doing what you're doing today, listening to this? You know, it's people have to get more in tune with why the hell they do what they do, why they say what they say, why they waste time on things that they're doing, wasting time on. It's just, I'm not here for it. You know, I'm here for those that are action takers and ready to live their life to the max.
Yeah. But I think that comes to also people being aware and connected with their sense of self. And there are so many people, and it goes back to the labels that we're talking about, you know, being labeled as having ADHD, having depression, all of these things. But also, yeah, so many people are just disconnected from themselves. So if they don't know who they are, how will they know what they desire,
Correct.
what they
Correct.
need?
Yes. And the
So
disconnect is huge. It's huge, and it's making people very lost. There's a lot of lost souls out there. And when
yeah.
you've gone through huge trauma in life, the soul sometimes does just part of it just step out of the body. Part of it just does step out. And that's when you lose the real disconnect. So that's when you have to take that time in stillness
Yeah.
to bring it back in, to invite it back in and start to give yourself the love, the self-care that it wants to come back into. You know, it's almost like it stepped out the way so you can carry on living, as in functioning.
Yes.
You know, it's only there. It's like just stepped out the way. It's not going to come back in if you're not going to change your ways. It doesn't want to come in there. It's left that vessel for a bit. It's just stepped out for a bit because it's too much. You can't cope with this. Not what, you know.
Oh, yes.
I thought this is what I wanted, and it's like, ooh, I signed up for this. Ooh, but you're not listening. You're not learning. You're still doing the same shit. You know, pardon my French. Should have checked it if I could swear first, shouldn't
Yes.
I?
Just be yourself.
oh,
Yes, just
brat.
be yourself. No,
I
no
should have
constriction.
asked first.
That's okay. Absolutely. You're not the first.
But yeah, and this is what I mean by, oh, it's just, my God, so many of us are going through life in dis-ease. The body is showing you signs that it's not happy, that it's chronically not happy. It's tolerated your behavior for so long. It's going to put you on your arse. It's going to put you on your backside and make you do the work. And if you're still going to try and put your square self back in that round hole, you're going to get the friction. You're constantly going to feel that you're not achieving. You're constantly going to feel that the world's against you because you're just not looking up.
Yep.
You need to look up and take stock of your environment. Where are you at? You can't create good stuff from the shit pit that created the shit stuff that you're sat in now. You've got to get out the shit pit first. Go to the space and place of neutrality and clear and create from there.
Absolutely.
You know?
And what you described is exactly what I went through with the loss of my dad. At some point, I was just surviving, just functioning, and barely, to be honest. And yeah, it's like my soul just moved away. Like it was just this transcend thing. It's like I lost part of myself, literally.
Yes.
I lost
Yes.
part of myself. And then the whole process, throughout these 2.5 years has been finding myself again. Not only grieving the loss of a parent and the trauma that came with it, because it was such an unexpected and traumatic way of him passing, but also was just finding myself, my true self, you know what I mean? Like
That's right.
my true self, my soul self with nothing, because at some point my identity as a daughter went with him.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it does. Because all these identities that we have attached to our parental figure. I
Mm,
mean, I'm not, I didn't have a great relationship with my dad, and I had all these labels, and I realized that after he went, I lost all desire for the things that I was pursuing in my life. Acting, I've been an actor for 15 years nearly. I suddenly lost all the fuel in my jets for it. I was like,
mm,
oh, I don't think I want to do acting anymore, because I'd spent my life saying, I'll show you, proving myself to him that
yeah.
marrying out of my culture, I'm an Indian heritage, born in the UK, but I married out of my culture. I married an Englishman 26 years ago, and
Mm,
that never went down very well. And so the relationship between my parents was strained with me, and I had to have I'll show you it'll work out. I'll show you. And
yeah.
then when he was no longer here, all of that needed to prove myself fell on its arse, and I was like, oh, do I still want to be with him? Do I still want to be an actor? What
Mm,
am I doing? What is the whole point of my life now? Because I've been spending it proving myself
exactly.
and carrying this tray
Mm,
of evidence that I
mm,
can do it. Look at this. Ooh, loo, 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 loo. And then the banana skin of his death sent me on my arse, and it's like, oh, all that shit's gone and fell down. Am I going to pick it back up and put it back on the tray and carry
yeah.
on, holding it? And I was like, no, I don't think I want to do that anymore. So the acting has taken a big step back because it
Mm,
doesn't fulfill me. I'm
yeah.
not changing people's lives.
Yeah.
I'm not, no, it's vacuous, toxic industry that is
Mm,
responsible for so many people's mental illness, which they don't take responsibility for because actors are the worst to admit that they have issues. So they continue to play in this field of toxicity, hoping for something to change rather than themselves.
oh wow.
So yeah, that's a whole other topic, that is.
That's a very interesting topic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if we think about losing identities, like we feel we lost the identity, and acting is becoming identities, different identities in order to
It's all,
perform.
yeah, that's all it is. It's all the fake because the individuals that go into this industry don't want to be themselves fundamentally.
Oh
A
wow.
lot of people will be on the ceiling right now hearing this because they don't want to. You're not talking about me. I love acting. Yeah,
Mm,
I do. I love it when I'm in the moment and doing the thing. I hate everything that comes with it, the
mm,
fear mongering, the scaremongering, the making people. Well, you can't make somebody feel something, but when you are traumatized in your life and you have no self-worth, it just perpetuates it
yeah.
because of
True.
how people choose to think. Didn't get that job, that must mean I'm really shit. Didn't get that, oh, they're better than me. Oh, they look slimmer than me. Oh, they might get it because they. I haven't got time for this,
Wow.
and it just perpetuated throughout. They feed them bullshit in drama schools, and then they leave them to it when they leave at 18, 21 rather, when they leave into the big bad world and think they're going to make it. And it's like nobody's telling these performers, these next generational performers, that you have to also sustain who you are. And here's how you do it. Be happy to say no to a job. And I've started to say no to anything that comes along that's like, no, that's a bit shit. That's actually pointless. I'm just wasting my time that I'm never going to get back again. No, that's with
Wow.
anything. Any event, meeting, catch up, fancy a coffee catch up. No, actually, would you want to be the last person I spent my time with if I got killed after the meeting?
Oh my
You
god.
know, oh, I go there. Oh, mate, I'd go there. Fleetingly, it only takes me a couple of seconds to do that little filtering of. It's like, are you somebody that I'd want to be speaking to? And it would be my last one. Not today. Not today. Not next week. Not that date. No. You got to get more discerning with your time, your
Wow.
energy.
I feel so blessed that you're here.
just
That means
let me
if something happens, you were happy to have a conversation.
let me just drive that point home, honey.
But yeah, it's so very true. And I feel like I've been on the same journey since my dad passed. I'm like, why do I keep saying yes and being like sucked into other people's dramas? And sometimes it's not even my choice. I'm already in the middle of it, trying to save everyone when it's not really what I want to do, because then I have to spend so much time recovering
That's it.
from
And it's
it.
not your job to do it. It's not your job either. Even though you got brought into it, it's not your job. That's not your purpose. And it's,
Yeah.
it's okay to say, hands up, sorry, folks, this doesn't agree with my current state. And so
Mm,
I'm going to have to extract myself right now. They might turn around and say, who the hell do you think you are? What's got into her?
yeah.
Awareness has got into me, a need to protect myself. That's what's got into me.
Mm,
I care more about myself than I do about how you're feeling, because a lot of people don't. The ones that are out there trying to fix, they don't care about themselves more. They care more about fixing other people. That's a genuine thing. If they sat down and thought about it, they probably don't think they deserve to have
yeah.
any what's the name first.
Yep.
Other people should get fed before me. Other people should get a pick at the what's the name before me. Why? Whenever there's an event or anything, and it's not for any other reason, it's just, you know what? Look after number one. Yes, if there's somebody that can't walk and get to the place where the food is or whatever, I'll make sure that they get theirs. Do you know
Mm,
what I mean? It's not about stepping on other people. It's about just taking care of the self. Because when I show up in 110%, you're all going to get so much more from it,
yeah.
rather
Absolutely.
than me showing up and feeding you from my cup. I need to be filling my cup up so much that it runs into the saucer and you're drinking
Mm,
from the saucer, not
yeah.
the cup, you know?
Yeah. And it's what I feel. But I find like sometimes it's hard to break that expectation from people, and especially when involves family members,
Oh,
because
I
they
can
were
tell you.
used to you being a
Yeah,
certain way, and there is this expectation because we are blood related, you have to step up, and you kind of don't want to explain yourself because you know that you don't have to, but at the
yeah.
same time you kind of, yes, let me try to explain, but it doesn't matter because the
They
awareness is
don't
not
care.
there.
Yeah, it's not there. It's cultural. It's the cultural expectation. I
Mm,
mean, I've been it, I understand you will have gone through it. It's a cultural thing.
mm,
And I was so lucky that I had 25 years out of the culture, even
yeah.
though, yes, it was lonely. And that's all that
Mhm.
you're fearing is the loneliness of that.
Oh, yes.
Separation, emancipating yourself from your culture for a bit in order to heal
Yeah.
and then connect to the truth of who you are and then go back into the field. That's what I say. Highly recommend it. Anybody who needs to break away from cultural expectation and traditions and programming, step the hell out of it. Have some time away from it all and say, I'm getting, you won't be seeing my arse for the next 12 months. Deal with it. Oh, why not? How's she going to cope? What's your grandmother going to think? Doesn't matter, right? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I've got more time left on this planet, hopefully, than grandma, right? Grandma's had her life. Let me have mine, okay, for a little bit, and then I'll come back renewed, refreshed, invigorated, and able to deal with your shit, your program shit that you refuse to heal from.
Mhm.
Right? Let me just gird my loins and strengthen my resolve.
Yeah.
Allow me that, and then I'll come back into that space a different person that you may not like, but
Yeah.
that's only because I've changed and you don't know how to be with me anymore. But you
Absolutely.
can't be the same person anymore with me. I've changed. You can't be the same person. You can't say the same things to me because I've changed. So it wouldn't make sense. It would just be like, what have you just said? Because you're not that person anymore. And that's all I'm saying with you on this is it's just the fear of the loneliness that would come from being separated. And once you don't give that any meaning, right? There's no meaning. It doesn't mean you love them less. It
Yes.
doesn't mean anything. It means you're allowing them to be who they need to be so you can be who you need to be and become who you need to be in peace.
Oh, that's so true. And it rings true to my soul right now, what you're saying. Because I feel the person I was before I lost my dad and being always the fixer, always trying to fix, especially when it came to family, always trying to fix everything and being there and being the one that talked and argued even, was because deep down, now I have that awareness, deep down is I wanted to feel loved. And
Mm.
by doing the things, I was like craving that. Wasn't attention, wasn't validation even.
No,
Was just, can you love me
basic.
now because I'm doing this for you?
Yes, yes. And it's like, what a shame that you had to do those things rather than it being unconditional and just random acts of this public displays of affection. I mean, I tell my kids I love them all the time. I hug
Mm.
them, I squeeze them, and it's like, to their annoyance. My son receives it. My daughter is a bit more, oh, Mom, get
Yeah.
off. Don't put your makeup on my face. Don't put your lipstick on my face. And it's like, bitch, you're going to be desperate for this lipstick on your face when Mom is no longer here. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's not for blackmail. I don't say it for blackmail. It's just like,
It's a reality.
let me just shake that tree a bit. Let me wake you the fuck up because this is awareness right now. I'm
Mm.
telling you, nobody said this to me. I never had hugs, kisses. I never had I love yous. Never heard it. Never heard it. Don't hear it much in my life now, to be honest. But the key thing is that you don't live a life needing to,
Hmm.
because you've got to love yourself,
Yes.
right? And I didn't love myself. I beat myself up 10,000 times a day so that other people didn't have to. It's like, it's okay, I've got it. I've got it. I give myself a kick in the head today. It's okay, I've got it. I know I've done some shit things. I know I've ruined my parents' lives by marrying out of my culture. I know I've embarrassed you all and you feel ashamed to talk about me, about being with a white man. But you know what? I beat myself up. It's okay, I've got it. And now, towards the end of that, towards the end of like before my dad passed, the last year or so, I was like, you know what? I'm not going down on my own anymore because that just gives them permission to continue saying, we don't need to meet your husband.
Oh.
We don't need to acknowledge that he exists. And it's like, no, fuck that. Because he's stuck with me. He didn't have to hang around. It takes a special kind of man to have to
Mm.
tolerate the bullshit that I exposed him to. Do you know what I mean? Although he's had a great experience living within the Indian community and experiencing all of that comes with the great sides of it, the great aspects of it. Thankfully, he never really, well, if he felt it, he never told me. He never made it an issue.
Mm.
So there's not many Indian men that could have done that and tolerated being that because they have so much pride.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was the culture that didn't want me. When everybody thinks, oh, you want to go off and be white, do you? No, I'm just not being accepted for wanting to have my own life by my own culture. That's what it
Mm.
is. Because my parents are too worried about what other people think.
Mm.
And I
Oh,
don't give a
okay.
shit, and I couldn't give a shit. And so, that's not going to work, is it? So I'm going to extract myself from this environment and live the life that I want to live. And
It
that's it.
is that awakening. It's like in your
That's it.
case was you were seeking belonging.
Yeah.
Even though you had the awareness, even though you fight it, even though you wanted to prove yourself all the time to your parents, but deep down was that I just want to belong somewhere. I
Yeah.
don't belong with the white culture, but you're not letting me belong with my culture I
Yes.
was born with. And in my
Yes.
case was the seeking of love because of childhood
Yes.
abuse, and I never felt loved, and there was always this comparison between me and my younger sister, and no matter what I did, I was never the favorite, you know what I mean? Like,
Never good enough. Yeah. Same.
yeah.
Same. Mm.
And yeah, it's just, I think, well, you said that before your dad passed, you already had that awareness, but maybe that being faced with mortality this way, it just makes you question, what is the legacy I want to leave? How is the life I want to live from now on?
Yes.
Will I accept the things that I've been accepting? Um,
Yes.
will I hide my needs and
Mm.
my desires until the rest of my life just because I want to be loved or just because I want to belong?
Accepted.
Hmm.
Validated, seen, heard
Mm.
by people that are equally traumatized.
Yep.
Why
Yeah.
would I bet? Why would I measure myself against other individuals that refuse to do the work or don't know that there is work to do? Why would
Mm.
I give any value to what they say to me? I want to live the life that I said I was coming here to live. that my soul made a karmic, contract with or whatever that I came here to learn. And if I'm not doing that, then what the hell am I doing here? Why am I here? And that was a lot of what came up for me over the last 4 years. What the hell am I actually doing here? Because I've woke the fuck up, wide open, eyes wide open, seeing everything for the 3D matrix that it is. And this game that we're playing called life, when you get up and do the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, each to their own, if you want to do that, that's great. But that mediocrity, that's not what I came for. Working for 40 years for somebody else, building their empire. So you can retire, you hope, at the age of 65, 66, which keeps changing.
Yeah.
And get to live how long? I don't know. I mean, my father-in-law, he's lucky enough to have had nearly 30 years on the Rolls-Royce pension after he retired. He's still going. My mother-in-law, she's had 20 years on the NHS pension. That's what you want.
Yeah.
But is it guaranteed now? Nothing's guaranteed. So what are you waiting for? What are you waiting to retire? Well, I hope you still got your health and your faculties and the time to do that. So that's my final word on that.
Yeah, that's so true. And I totally relate with this kind of, it's not awakening in the sense of, oh, enlightenment and seeing the light. No, it's just awakening to the sense of who we are. It's asking the questions, believing in the questions of, who am I? What am I here to do?
Yep. It's not an
Finding.
evangelical. Yeah. I mean, we're not making it biblical. It's not an evangelical thing. It's like, hallelujah. It's not about that. It's literally about you suddenly having the mist lifted from you, the veil lifted from you. You can see clearly. It's like, oh my God. And when you hear people saying these things, and I look at them like they're speaking a foreign language now, I'm like, you want to do what? And I look at them in absolute, not awe, but disbelief. It's like, oh my God, this shit is happening. This is the Truman Show. This is what is going on. And that realization is like, what are you doing? What do you mean you're going to do this? Why are you getting upset? Why are you getting bothered about that? Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. You doing that. Nothing's going to change with your reaction to it. And I used to be that person. That's the thing. It's like, oh my God, but I'm seeing myself at the same time. It's like, shit, was I like that? Is that what I said? Oh, is that what I did? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. And that's the first thing that you do on your journey is make amends.
Yeah.
You make amends to all the people that you've chatted shit to. Yourself first. Start with yourself first. Whew, I'm just so sorry that I took so long, even though everything happens in divine timing. And I had people coming to me now for my services that are 25, 31. And I know it. I see it in the next generation. They're feeling it earlier. They're feeling this sense of disconnect sooner in their life, and they need the help. And, that's the mission that's here to guide them. But of course, I did have that same mindset as yourself. You want to help as many people as possible, right? But I've realized as well along the way, there are a lot of people that will take and not do the work. So for me, my price has to reflect the commitment of the individual to have skin in the game. Because if I ask you to do something and you don't doing it, you're wasting my time. Yeah. Some people may say, what's your problem, Buckso? They're paying you. But I don't want your money for you to waste my time and your own, because I'm perpetuating your bullshit. Not doing it. Don't want to do that. You will pay the price that I charge and do all the complaining you like, but you better believe you're going to work. You better believe it's going to be tough. But I'm here. I'm here with you to facilitate the process. I had nobody. So I want to be that somebody for somebody else, that nobody for somebody else.
Yeah, true. That's so true. And it also comes down to taking responsibility. And when you invest in yourself, it doesn't matter how much or less you pay. It's about commitment. It's about taking action and not blaming. Because what I think that's going on, especially I think after 2020, to be honest, I don't remember this being before, but maybe it was. It's just like shortcuts. I want a shortcut.
Oh. I was that person. Can't we just get to the end now, please? Just click your fingers and get me to the end. I used to be that person.
Yeah, and investing in mentors and coaches and healers, just fix me right now, or give me that magic pill that you have, that magic solution, so I can stop doing the things and getting the money and being healed and in no
Yeah.
time.
And it doesn't happen. It doesn't
No.
work that way. And anybody that promises you that is fucking lying to you, right? Because like I said to somebody, okay, so you're a brilliant coach. Yeah, you think you're great at what you do. Now, if you show up in a different energy and people see that and they're like, wow, you look, what is your secret? I don't know. I just woke up like this. How boring is that going to be? People are not going to want to work with you. Because they can't just wake up like that.
Yeah.
That's not feasible. Whereas
Mm.
if you tell them that you went through 6 months of shit and hell and rinsing your body dry of all the shit that come up, the trauma, the tears that you cried and the hellholes that you fell into and climbed out of, they want to know that, hey, you did that and you're here looking like this. Oh, I'll have some of that. Let me have some of that, please. Nobody wants to have it from the easy rider.
No.
Nobody.
Well, depends. Again, comes down to the commitment. If someone is really committed and knows, like, yes, this is a journey, it's not a destination, I want that. But what we see is like, because maybe social media, comes this thing like, now you don't have to have a career in acting, for example, to become a celebrity. Now you
Oh
can
my
become an
God.
influencer on YouTube or on social or on Instagram or whatever. And that is that instant validation, that
Yes.
instant reward. And we are creating this very toxic environment where people think that they can have instant gratification and instant solutions, and that's not the way to go.
And this is where I have to be very careful that I don't become one of the toxic individuals that is shouting and screaming about it from the rooftops. What I want people to do is say, hey, I know, because there's plenty of people in the industry that are bitching about it. Oh, you don't need I didn't have any qualifications from drama school myself, but I've earned my stripes in the last 15
Mm,
years. But there are individuals in the acting industry, again, triggered by trauma. Oh, anybody could be an actor these days. It's just a load of toss now. And they bitch about it and moan.
mm,
But that's not going to change anything. It's
mm.
just going to make you feel worse about yourself. So what are you doing to become the person that doesn't be affected by that?
Yeah, true.
I am not affected by that now, because I've done the work and I see that and I'm like, right, okay, so I need to give people an alternative to that. Everybody's looking over here and I'm going to say, look over here. Guess
Yeah.
what? I know you don't like this, but guess what? Look at this. Look at what you can do so that you don't get affected by it. I want to give the
Mhm,
solution. I don't want to add
mhm.
to the problem. I don't want to add
Yes.
to the fucking noise that's out
Mm,
there. I want people
mm,
to say, yes, no more bullshit, because like these mind, body, spirit fairs, they're full of toxicity. They're full of
mhm,
people with retail businesses that bitch about everything and like, oh, not very busy. Oh, yeah, it's a bit of a shit show, isn't it? Oh, nobody's bought anything. Well, what did you do? Did you stay sat behind your table all day? Did you have a conversation with people?
mm,
Did you stand at the front and engage and ask genuine, interested questions that didn't mean they had to buy from you? What was your attachment to which outcome?
mm.
The sale? Was it only
Yeah,
them that got your time? I know
yeah.
it's a tiring job, but you chose it. It's a life. You chose that choice. You made that choice to make money in your life that way. Fucking get involved in your own life. Show up and get involved in your own life rather than sitting there with your hands out, waiting for the thing to drop.
Mhm.
Fucking get
Absolutely.
involved. Mm,
Absolutely. Yeah. It comes down like not taking responsibility and just
right.
blaming outside experiences and situations and people to what is happening, isn't it?
This
And we
it's
see that so
laughable.
much. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to do it. I was that person. My son does
Mm,
it all the time, and he's starting to get better now. But it frustrates me so much because I know how much his life could be better by him flipping the switch.
mm.
He really
Yeah.
feels so hard done by right now. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You live at home. You don't pay rent. You can stay here as long as you like. And you what? What have you got to bitch about? You got a car that you drive around. You work out in a gym every day. You're physically fit and healthy. You look great. What is your problem? Fucking shake that tree a bit more, mate. And he's getting better. Sometimes though with the kids these days, because they have so much and they haven't had to go through shit, like I said to you, because it has been generally handed on a plate by their parents, the parents that work all the hours God sends and have guilt. So they throw money at them and fuck the kids
Mm,
up more, right? Oh, my parents are ever so nice. Yeah, they were, but they weren't there for you, were they? They didn't give you loves, hugs and kisses. because they just took you on fancy holidays and were on the laptop all the time. Again, not a judgment, it's an
Yeah.
observation.
Mm.
And so when we have to sit there and the parents then moan about the fact, it's like, well, how responsible were you for this happening?
Yeah.
You know, I believe it's very much in our nature. They talk about nature versus it's very much in our nature and how you are nurtured that
Mm.
creates the individual you become.
Yep,
You
absolutely.
know, and it's our parent, my responsibility as a parent, to be conscious
Mm-hmm.
enough to not be somebody that projects my shit onto them,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
causing issues in them. Like one of my clients, she's 25, she came, and her mom, she was on a diet at the age of 7 because her mum, who was overweight and had issues with her own weight, didn't want you to be, I don't want you to be fat. I don't want you to be fat. So, you know, I don't want you to be fat. She wouldn't have had an issue with fatness if she hadn't made it one.
Wow.
So she's been, you know, bulimic and then anorexic and starved, you know, and she's just, bless her. It's so sad.
Thank you so much, Buckso, for your wisdom, for being here and sharing what you went through, and so many aspects of the spiritual awakening that it just intensified with the loss of your dad. And just to wrap up this episode, if you felt triggered by listening to this episode, take it as an invitation to analyze your life, to ask yourself why you felt triggered, why you felt activated, what did in your body felt like a contraction. Because most times the way we bring into awareness the things that we need to heal is through these activations, through these triggers. And our conversation today wasn't about being judgmental, wasn't about bringing other people down or cultures down or anything like that. Was basically our experience and what we find to be truth to us. And by being in this industry, what we've been observing. And so, if you felt triggered about anything that was mentioned in this conversation that was very organic, instead of switching off, instead of feeling frustrated, instead of again blaming or not taking responsibility for what you are feeling and taking this personally, ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Why am I feeling activated? What am I feeling in my body that feels truth, but I've been acting in a different way that goes against maybe my values, that goes against maybe my beliefs, because I'm acting out of fear. I'm acting out in hopes of seeking validation, in seeking love, or seeking belonging. Because we've been through this, we've acted these ways. And it doesn't mean like now that we've healed some parts of it, because again, this is an ongoing journey. It doesn't mean like it's done. And it doesn't mean like we don't fall into those same patterns from time to time. Yes, we do. That is life. That's being human. But having the awareness and making the conscious decision to, when we feel triggered, instead of reacting, just responding by integrating the information before and asking these very important questions, then is when the lessons come, and then is when we are shown where to heal further. So, this is just an invitation before we wrap up this episode to really look into, if you've got triggered, look into why you've been triggered and what you've been triggered, what you've been invited to ponder on, reflect, heal, and change in order to align more with your soul's purpose and your soul's essence, what you are here to do. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. And thank you so much, Buckso, for being here, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing your passion, because it could be felt your passion here. Before I love you and leave you, I will pull a card from my Trust Journaling deck. And the card I pulled is from the Reflection Suite, and the soul inquiry is: what is or is not occurring in my life that is causing me to feel upset? What is or is not occurring in my life that is causing me to feel upset? And the affirmation is: I trust everything is always working out for me. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Sorcery Podcast and for holding space for this conversation. It is truly magical to be able to walk with you on this journey of soul healing and inner transformation. If you resonated with this episode and found it valuable, I would be grateful if you could leave a review on iTunes. Your feedback helps me reach more souls searching for guidance and healing. For more guidance and soul wisdom to support soul awakening women through the journey of alchemy, please visit my website www.ligiacosta.co.uk. Love and healing to all. See you on the next one.